Everyone, this is my video on my trip to Meetup at CSU East Bay Innovate. It took place at CSU East Bay, and it took place on October 25th, starting at 12 p.m. and ending at 5 p.m. Let's see. I chose this location because it was the most convenient one out of all the locations, and it was the most practical in terms of geospatial location and whether or not I could actually do it. Interesting speakers and personnel. There were a whole bunch of people in between, such as a small startup that tried to set up people with BAS for some reason, and then another startup that tried to set up people with other students from abroad, like a Rate My Professor. And then there was, among them, was Coding Dojo, who had a speaker who talked about connecting employers and developers, also emerging technologies such as VR. There is a CSS penetration testing company, and they make sure your security is well, and make sure you don't do very badly, and make sure it's not compromised, which would be very bad. There was charity streaming for for a company who wanted to raise money for charity for people who want to connect people with content creators and then work with them to create interesting content to stream and then raise charity for. At the Coding Dojo workshop, there was something called Tech for Non-Techies. It was a framework. Had a few things such as the framework versus library, framework ditches some structure, whereas library stands to hold it. So it creates a different dynamic for what you have to work with. And then there are a whole bunch of technologies that people use because some prefer it here, others prefer that, and all comes down to the developer on occasion. And then there's asynchronous JavaScript and XML, a way of making requests and receiving responses. Pretty good actually if you want to create something interesting. And then there's a small workshop on IP addresses and how to make good ones and how they actually interact with people. And then they left us behind with a few websites that will help us start making our websites, such as making a wireframe before actually coding it, and then making a dating model as well. There's also a workshop for interviewing with the developer. Well, although unlike other occupations, computer science occupations have slightly different things with a application, then a recruiter calls, there's a technical phone screen, where they may ask you a question, on-site technical interview where you get to meet some people, and then eventually they discuss it internally with HR to give the yes or no, then the offer is presented, or rather the refusal of the offer on occasion, further negotiations with HR if necessary, and then you begin. It's very different, and I thought it was very good insight into the world beyond, let's see, what is it called again? Beyond college, and for me to pursue something beyond post my bachelor's. They also added sales interviewing, some of which I were familiar with, such as the classic traditional 1x1, and then the panel I was also known of, and then something about the group which I knew. And to begin with, my 101 is classic employer and employee, just interviewing them one-to-one. Panel has multiple interviewers, so the pressure of the way the world is on the person. Group, on the other end, has a bunch of interviewees, so you have to promote yourself the best. Round robin sends an interview into the room continuously, may have to repeat yourself, so you'll have to get used to that. And then there was the emerging technologies of the VR workshop. The Coding Dojo presenter actually added a few things, such as the prospects of VR, how it could be, which VR consoles actually had something good with them, and how you can code, such as using Unity, which I believe Unity is actually very nice. Despite its young age, it does have its significant process. Now, my final thoughts on that, I would love to go again, and I learned a great deal on the industry beyond college, such as how to get an interview, what an interview consists of, and thinking more about what I can do in my life beyond. I would like it to use a different group and go to another meetup, and probably go to more so I can learn more and be more interesting, I guess. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. This is Andrew Chen. Goodbye.